And welcome back, everybody, to our spectacular episode. The Bear is back. My wife said to me, Angelo, hi, I'm Jay Black, by the way, joined by Angelo Cataldi. My wife said to me, of course you like the bear. You are a giant hairy man. You are in the gay community, what's called a bear. So you, of course, feel connected to this. But one of the things that we got from our fan mail, they said, Jay, if you're going to talk about this, do not spoil it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk general thoughts with zero spoilers. And then what we'll do, Angelo, is we'll say, cut to the next segment if you don't want to hear any spoilers. That way you don't have any spoilers whatsoever. Although how you could get to this point in the week and not have seen it is beyond me. Let me ask you, what did you think of it generally?
I don't know that there are any spoilers anyway, but I'll just start with this. In my insanely addicted life with television, and I've spent so many hours, more than half my life in front of that TV screen. Nothing has ever happened like this to me. A show went from my favorite show to me not wanting to watch it at all.
What? My goodness.
That was episode 1 of season 3. Episode 1. And I just kept pressing on because it's the bear. I said to my wife last night, who has the same reaction I do, if this were the first season, I would have been out before the end of the first show.
Right.
It is artsy. It is irrelevant. It is ponderous. It is meandering. It goes nowhere. It says nothing. I can't. All right, I don't want to give a spoiler until the next segment, so I won't even ask this question. It is a big heaping pile of nothing. It stinks. And all of the reviews, which are almost universally awful,
right,
and the audience reaction is all deserved. It's like somebody stole our favorite show and replaced it with garbage. It's awful.
Here's what I'm going to say, Angelo. It's one of these things that when you were talking about ponderous, artsy, meandering, I'm like, is he describing me? Because I really liked it. I did.
You're an idiot.
Here's the thing.
You're a moron. It's terrible.
I watched that first episode and I marveled at the fact that 3 seasons in, you know what it reminded me of? I'll tell you what it reminded me of. It reminded me of the 5th season Sopranos episode, The Test Dream. You remember that? Where Tony,
I remember it.
45 minutes of the episode was a dream, and people hated that episode. That was like a notorious hated episode. And I was walking around going, I loved every second of that. Yeah. I loved that a mainstream show was allowed to go into a really kind of crazy direction like that, because it doesn't happen often in American popular culture, especially TV. I loved how arty-farty it was. I loved how meandering it was.
Let me just say, this says more about you than it does about the show.
Yeah.
You fall in love with the show and stay in love with it, regardless of the indignities it throws at you. All right? The bear, there's no story.
Right.
Do you understand? Jay, I got to go to the next thing. We're going to do a spoiler. Did Carm ever get out of the freezer?
Are you thinking
he's been in the freezer for 9 months, right? Did he get out? There was no scene where they got him out or he got out. Am I right?
No, you don't see him getting out. Yeah. So it could be that he's just in there dreaming.
Well, they're flashing you through all this stuff in the first segment from both the before and after and here and there. But the fact of the matter is, they didn't even pick up the story that much. And then here's the other thing, and I realized as I went, not only do I not want to watch the bear anymore, I don't want to go to that restaurant because it was a sandwich place with big, beefy, juicy, nice-looking sandwiches to now this big plate with a tiny little uncooked piece of tuna on it,
Yeah.
and little dribbles and drabbles of artwork. It's awful. It's
So
this restaurant stinks, and the show stinks.
let me bring in a little bit of meta commentary here, because two things happened, and one of them I didn't know about when I sent the email to you. This I found out listening to a podcast from Chris Ryan on The Watch, which is a great TV podcast. But here's some meta idea. This was filmed back to back. It was filmed 20 episodes with season 3 and season 4 done at the same time. But originally, this was supposed to be the final season. And FX and Hulu, Disney, I guess, came to the creator and said, we want you to split this season up into 2 seasons, which happens a lot. We saw it happen with Mad Men. We saw it happen with a lot of shows that are very popular in a signature show. I think a lot of the problems that you're having and that people are having is a direct consequence of this, which is they have to paddle water, or they have to tread water for a season, because the real meat of it, so to speak, is going to be the last season.
So all right. So they're just adding a season of padding with no real plot to it.
Right. That he had basically 1 season and they asked him for 2.
If you have something that's as great as the Bear, this is how bad it got, Jay. I actually, by the 3rd episode, which was going nowhere, I bowed out, went back to the first season.
Really?
Watched a few scenes from a couple of different episodes to see if there was any similarity. And there isn't. They were telling a great story. They had a great story about how this guy comes in, takes over for his brother who died real young, and he takes this little family sandwich shop and turns it into a great restaurant and all that stuff. They told a story. There's no story now. Spoilers. Here are the spoilers I have. Apparently, Cum got out of the freezer. I didn't see it, but since he's out talking to people, I guess he did. Sydney got an apartment. Her father doesn't like it. Oh, wow. Big story. Yeah. Who cares? Who cares? I never saw her apartment. I didn't need that story. Richie met his wife's new boyfriend, right? Oh, wow. Big deal. What is that about? He had heart-to-heart, in-depth conversations with his daughter. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's not the story. The story's the restaurant. And I guess Natalie is real pregnant. I only got the first 5 episodes. I guess at some point she has the baby. That's it. What else happened? Tell me what happened. Maybe I missed it.
You're right. They made a switch, and you are absolutely right, from a story-driven comedy drama to a character-driven comedy drama, where we're going to explore these characters. Probably because they only had enough runway of story to get us through 1 more season. They padded it out. And I agree with you. The propulsiveness of the show is gone. I didn't mind it because I loved the characters so much. I don't mind spending time with them. That 2nd episode, which is just a series of conversations around the table, non-negotiables. Angela, I loved it. I loved seeing them interact. I thought it was funny. The dialogue was
you're a script writer.
So
you're looking at dialogue. You're going, well, it is very natural, just the way it always was. They overlap with it's great that way, but they're not saying anything interesting. Nothing's happening.
Right.
And by the 3rd episode, you start to get angry, right? And so I had a heart-to-heart. I called Rhea, because Rhea's not here, by the way. Her dad is ill, and she's with him in Ohio. And we wish him, he's a great man, Chuck. We wish him and the family nothing but good.
It doesn't feel right to have 2 windows instead of 3. I like Rhea's. Brings.
All right. No, we always miss Rhea. She's awesome. But Rhea said to me, well, I can't use the term she used to describe the first 5 episodes. She and I are halfway through. We're at the 5. She used the term that is so negative. It would, it's kind of like sucks, but even worse.
I've heard of it. I've heard that word before.
It starts to get a little better in episode 5. So I kept pressing onward, and I didn't get much out of episode 5 either. I don't know. It's not funny. It's not interesting. It's not compelling. My wife's theory is that the episode last year at the 7 Fishes, episode 6, season 2, maybe the greatest TV episode ever created. She said they became obsessed with it. They kept flashing back to it. They got Jamie Lee Curtis back in there. They're doing all this other stuff that they're trying to do it like that, but it's just not watchable. They're really hurting the great following they developed by not giving you story. And Jay, you're a screenwriter.
Yeah.
If you don't have enough story, take the time to give people story. Yeah. That's what we're watching it for. It's a story.
Agree.
I don't want to look at it. It's just so bad. It's making me I'm so upset.
Couple of things before we move off of this subject. I just wanted to ask you in general terms, because we've talked a lot about this. The Bear is one of the last big shows being dropped in this binge watching format. Seems like most of them, like The Boys and all the Apple TV Plus shows, give you a bingeable first taste, 2-3 episodes, and then go week to week. Do you think that The Bear might be a little bit more palatable, or all shows might be a little bit more palatable in this, first 3, then you get it week to week? Or do you like it where you can binge the whole thing in a weekend if you want?
I like the control. I like to make the decision myself. And in this case, I would strongly urge people who love The Bear and haven't started the 3rd season yet to go right to episode 5. You're not going to miss a thing. There's nothing to happen. Nothing happened. And that's the I don't, I like a binge because if I'm totally into the story, I can't wait to see the next thing. Right. That is not applicable here at all. There is no story to get excited about. But I understand that there are these different philosophies. And I think ultimately, Jay, one will prove to be the best. I think this is an experimental period because we have this ability to binge. And I think you're seeing a lot of different approaches to it. And I get frustrated the more I love a show, the more I don't want to wait for the next episode. But I'll acknowledge that the waiting makes it even more exciting when you finally get it.
And the discussion. I kind of dig the discussion where everybody is having the same discussion at the same time, which HBO still manages to generate with their shows, the House of the Dragon, and that sort of stuff. Final question, Angelo. After all that, next June, when the final season drops, knowing what you know, that all the story was probably saved for that final season, are you back in on The Bear, or do you just let it sit?
I have to be. It was one of my all-time favorite shows. It had the greatest episode I've ever seen in television, and I do want to see how it comes out. But I'm not so sure I'm going to watch the next 5 if it keeps going the way the first 5 did. In other words, I'll jump ahead a little because it's just not, I feel like it's a waste of time right now. There's nothing happening. And I'm so disappointed because I love the characters and I love the vibe of it and the way it's shot and all that stuff, but they just forgot to tell us a story.
Fair enough. Doors closed now on The Bear. So we talk about a show that has fallen off from year to year. We have a debate that has fallen off from year to year. Now, I got to tell you, I did not watch last week's debate in real time. I was performing at a theater where lots of people were apparently home watching the debate. That's a story for a different time. It was a pretty empty theater. But I didn't see it in real time. But not a lot of people did. It was 2020 at the height of COVID. They scored 55 to 60 million people watching those debates. First debate this time out, scores in the 30s. 20 million fewer people watched the debate. Now, as somebody who's supporting the Democratic candidate, probably for the best that fewer people watched the debate, considering their performance. What do you think it was, Angela? What was the thing? Are people just tired of these two guys? Are they just tired of politics, or
No. Firstly, the night you performed when the debate was on, did you bomb?
I did not. I had a pretty good show.
You did not bomb? You had a pretty good show?
Yeah.
Because take the worst show you ever did.
Yeah.
The biggest bombing you ever did. I assure you, it was nowhere near as bad as Joe Biden on the debate that night.
Yeah.
And there's a lot here to cover. Little history lesson. In 1960, I was 9 years old, all right? And an election, a presidential election, was determined by a debate.
Mm-hmm.
John F. Kennedy versus Richard Nixon. Kennedy, great looking guy, did a whole study of how best to present yourself on television, had an impeccable makeup job to look perfect. Nixon ignored all of it, had a 5 o'clock shadow,
Yeah.
sweat beating on his upper lip. Nixon answered the questions as well as Kennedy did, and he lost the election that night because TV, this is what I love about TV. It doesn't hide the truth.
Right.
It can't hide the truth. What we were watching was the most compelling live TV I've seen since the NFL. The NFL gives you that every week. It's why it's number one, because you were watching history being made. By the end of that performance, Joe Biden was unelectable. Now, whether or not they fully are on board with that yet, I can tell you. I know a lot of people who said, I can't vote for him. He's senile. He's done. He can't even form a sentence. And it kind of added to the narrative that he's too old.
Right.
And I could tell you that it was riveting for an hour and a half. It was the reason I love television, because it gives you the story. There's no turning back from it. You can come out the next week, Jay, every day with a new statement of what happened, which is what Biden's been trying to do. And it doesn't alter the fact that he couldn't put a sentence together. He got lost. He didn't know what to say. And look, whether or not Trump was lying or whatever he was doing, Trump looked like a guy that could still do the job. Biden looked like a guy who had no shot at doing the job. And I am not a Trump guy. You know that.
No,
but
I know for sure. Yeah.
I'm telling you, it was terrific television.
So let me
I know
ask
it's
you this.
crazy, but that's what we do here is TV. It's the reason you should love TV. It brings it right into your home and it shows you what you need to see.
Yeah. And that's a great way to put it. Let me ask you this as a TV expert. Next debate, is there a redemption story possible? Like, was this first debate so bad? Is it possible that there's more people going to watch the second debate? And if Biden comes out swinging and connects, is it possible for him to undo this bad bomb?
I think it'll be really interesting because it'll be Trump against someone else.
Oh, you think so?
Biden will be out by then. Biden,
really?
Oh, Biden will not. Biden's done. It's just when they announce it. He's done. He's losing support everywhere. He's losing donors everywhere. He's done. And his family is still fighting it. But he can't. Because there's going to come a point where they go, he has no chance.
Right.
He's not electable in the state. It's just got too old. He got elected too late. I got to meet him when he was a vice president with Obama. And he was a very charismatic and brilliant man, but he is not that anymore. Gotcha. And as an older guy myself and know my own faculties at 73, I could tell you that you are not your best by that age. You're not. And he won't be there for the second debate. If he is, I will be shocked. And there's no potential for redemption because he can't prepare. He prepared for 4 days and he couldn't do it. Right. He doesn't retain it. He can't do it.
Well, Angelo, I'll say this. I, for one, would like to see you on that debate stage. I think you would do it very
I would like to do it. I would like to do it, but then I would turn down the job if I ever want it because I'm retired. I don't want to do any of that stuff.
Angelo, and by the way, looking good with that white on white hat. I really dig that look.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm down the shore, obviously.
Yeah.
And I want to mention something about a friend of mine named Steven Singer.
I was just going to say our best friend. We love that guy.
This weekend, against my best wishes, I attended a wedding in Maryland. And I realized something at the wedding. It was outdoors, no air conditioning. Can stink. The food can stink. There's only one thing that cannot stink at a wedding, and it's the ring.
100%.
And that is why, and the ring this woman had was spectacular. I don't know if she got it at Steven Singer Jewelers, but it looked like she must have, because Steven Singer is the guy that makes the wedding great and leads to the marriage being great. It's where I got my wife's ring. And I could tell you right now, there's just nobody who's better at knowing what you should get. You will go into him and say, this is what I can spend, whatever it is. And he will say, well, this is probably the best thing I got for you there.
Right.
And then you will see this. And then hopefully, if she is not there and you want to really, make it a big deal out of it, you're going to get the right thing. And there's no bigger investment you'll make in your life than the ring that represents your relationship with the person you love. And he's great at it. Steven Singer is the place to go. The other corner of it, Walnut.
I know for a fact Gail has thought about leaving you many times, but
Yes.
looked down at that ring and said, can't do it.
Yep.
Got to stay because I love this ring so much.
Even sometimes she'll kiss me when she doesn't want to. The way things go.
That's why you're the best, Angelo. And so is Steven Singer. Please check out his website, IHateStevenSinger.com, which you can get right in our podcast app. Just scroll on down, click the link, and get yourself something special. Or better yet, get the special someone in your life something special. Normally, this is where we do the British segment, which we don't have. But, Angelo, you told me you got a teen segment for this week.
Well, I got one thing. I need you to actually look something up for me.
Sure.
If you would like a spectacular binge of a show that is great for kids, great for adults, and is really, really well written, well performed, binge Wonder Years, the original Wonder Years. It ran back in the 80s, I'm going to say. And and here's why I'm saying to do it now. I just finished the book by the brilliant narrator of that show, Daniel Stern, the actor. And I just get the name of his book. Could you look that up, Jay, while we're doing it? Because it's a great book. And the reason it's great is because he gives you tons of inside information. He's known for two things: for being the narrator of Wonder Years. He also had a lot of say in where the stories went. He was very involved in that show. Right. And it was just such a great show about what's the name?
It was called Home and Alone.
Home and Alone.
Yep.
Because the other thing he did was Home Alone.
Right.
He was part of three different Home Alone shows with Joe Pesci. They were the two madcap thieves.
Right.
Kept stumbling and bumbling. But here's the thing about him, right? So he was so successful in that show that this guy now is about 70. He made a ton of money on Wonder Years and a ton of money on Home Alone.
Right.
And was independently wealthy at your age.
Wow.
All right. At your age, 40s, right? In his 40s, from his 40s, the next 25 years of his life, he did whatever he wanted. Stage productions, whatever.
Right.
And he spoke so eloquently about how Wonder Years, I'm not familiar with the new version of it. I didn't want to get into it because I didn't want to change the memory I have of the first edition of it. I heard it's pretty good. Right. But here's the thing. It's so great at capturing the awkwardness of puberty as you reach your first girlfriend, first kiss, all the stuff that happens in a little guy's life as he's growing up. And the family interaction with the big brother who's a jerk, and the father who's very, very he's liable to go off at the first thing. He's got a bad temper. Yeah. It's just a great show. And the thing about it is, it's great start to finish, and it has a tremendous finish. Don't miss it. It's a great binge.
I'm just going to say this. I was in 6th grade in 1988 when that show premiered after the Super Bowl. the very first episode where Kevin Arnold is starting sixth grade. So I am the exact same age as the character,
Oh,
the
wow.
Wonder Years. So when I was in sixth grade, Kevin was in sixth grade. When Kevin went to seventh grade, I was in seventh grade. And I can tell you this, every single heterosexual male of my cohort was in deep love with Winnie Cooper. When
Oh,
she
yeah.
showed up with the go-go boots, we were all in
Oh,
forever. And Danica Keller, wherever you are, call me. My wife will understand. We love you.
hey, hold on.
Yeah,
Jay, did you binge it with your son?
I have not yet, but it's not a bad thought because
No, my son did it with my grandkids, my two twins, and they were so into it. They did a couple of them over here in Seattle with me, and I got to watch a couple. And I'm going to binge the whole thing again sometime in the near future. It's a phenomenal thing for a teenager to watch, and its themes, even though it's it's different than it is now. In a lot of ways, it isn't. It's
no,
just a rite of passage. It's
the
really
times
great.
might change, families do not. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
All right. So is that your other pick, Andrew?
No,
You got
I
another
got
pick.
something great. I got, a few weeks ago, Knox Goes Away.
Yes,
Couldn't
great
believe
movie.
how a terrific movie like that slipped through the cracks. Michael Keaton. I maintain it is the best movie of the year, but it is now tied with another movie that is out in theaters and is available as a buy on Amazon. It's incredibly good.
What is
It's
this?
called Ezra. All right.
Ezra.
Ezra. You don't know anything about this.
No,
Oh
I've never heard of it.
This is the problem. When there's great movies like this, there's no buzz. All right. Ezra, oh, wait till you hear this, is a story of a stand-up comic.
Oh, I like that.
Played by Bobby Carnival in
Okay.
his best performance he's ever done in TV or movies. He is brilliant in it. And he has this really interesting son, autistic son named Ezra. And he breaks up, Bobby Carnival, the character Bobby Carnival breaks up with his wife, played by Rose Byrne, who is his wife in real life.
Wow.
But in the movie, they break up. And he steals the kid and goes on a road trip because in the midst of it, he gets told that he's going to get his big break and appear on Jimmy Kimmel.
Wow. That's
Are
excellent.
you
I'm in.
The kid is, I want to get his name right. William A. Fitzgerald plays the autistic son. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Bobby Carnival has never been better. He is so good in this. I can't tell you. Rose Byrne, fantastic in it. Unlike The Bear, it has a great story that never bogs down, never wastes time, and takes you to a great finish. It is as close to a perfect movie as you are going to see in the year 2024.
I will be watching it today. My only question, do we see him on stage? Do we get to see a stand-up?
Yes.
All right.
See him on stage, and you see him when he's good, and you see him when he's not. By the way, when he's not, he's still better than Biden was. But yeah, no, I'm telling you, Jay, this is you're going to love. You're going to review this next week. Please.
I'm in. I'm going to watch it. I cannot wait. Fantastic.
It's $20 on Amazon right now. It's $19.95. But if you went to a movie theater, you'd pay that anyway. It's worth it. It's so great.
I'm going to try to find it in the theaters if I can. I'll take my boy to go see it.
Ezra, check it out. You will love it. I promise you.
And speaking of my son, he's been patiently waiting over there. He's got a review of a new movie that I can tell you right now, Angelo, you will not like. You'll like the review. I don't think you'll like the movie. Did you like Poor Things, Angelo? I can't remember.
No, I hated it.
This is by the same director as Poor Things and the same cast, basically.
No, thank you.
A star-studded cast. It's Jesse Plemons. It's Emma Stone and who's come on over, son. I want your quick review. I told him, can you be quick about this and have a pithy review? Let's see what he can do.
So you didn't like Poor Things?
Yes.
I love Poor Things. But but this is a lot more like
No, I hated Poor Things. I thought you said Natalie Portman. Yes, I like her. I'm
We
deaf.
all like
I'm
Natalie.
totally deaf.
Yeah.
but this is same director, but this is a lot more toned down, and it's essentially
Right.
3 stories. I'm not gonna spoil any of them, but basically each story you're like so fascinated by it, you never want to learn so much about like each individual world, and like all the
Yeah.
characters are like especially every Jesse Plemons, right?
Clemens, yep.
He doesn't get like a lot of roles, like small roles, but like he really shines in this. And I don't know, I loved it. I just felt fascinated by it. I never got bored throughout. It's a, what's it called? A
Triptych, when there's
triptych.
3 stories put together to
triptych.
make one movie. And Jesse Plemons is great, you said, and Willem Dafoe is in it.
He's always great.
Yeah.
So like
I like them. I do
Yeah.
like them.
Let me
Kinds
ask you
of
this.
kindness. That's it called Kinds of Kindness.
Kinds of Kindness, yeah.
How
Right.
insane is it compared to Poorer Things?
It's not as insane. Like it's set in modern times. So it's not like the weird kind of like I don't know what you even call it, like
Surreal?
surreal, yeah, surreal, like historical kind of like it's set in modern times, but there's definitely surrealist aspects of it.
Okay. All right. And
Right.
you
Here's the thing I need to know. Emma Stone, who I love, even though I hate Poor Things. Is she good in it?
I would say so. Yeah, I thought she was great, but I would say Jesse Plemons was really the person you should look, because like
I love that guy. I don't think that I've
Yeah,
ever
he's
seen
really
him
good. He's a
bad
great actor.
yeah,
in a movie or film or TV. He's great.
but everyone does great, I would
Yeah.
say.
All right. So you give it
Sounds
a
good. Sounds good. Let me go over what we did here today. If you really have to do it, the beer is available. All 10 episodes of season 3 are on Hulu. You could check that out. Also on Hulu, if you would like to binge the original Wonder Years, it is available on Hulu. This is a big day for Hulu. Ezra is available in movies and as a buy on Amazon. It'll be much cheaper in another week or two. You don't want to miss it. And Kinds of Kindness, that's still in movie theaters, right, Jay?
Yep, still in movie theaters for the time being, and my son gives that 2 thumbs up. And I'll give 5 thumbs up to Angelo Cataldi's book, Loud, which you can get on Amazon.com, or you can go to Audible.com right now to get. Steven Singer gets 19 thumbs up, our wonderful sponsor. You can go to IHateStevenSinger.com. And I give you, our fans, 37 thumbs up. That's a lot of thumbs up. If you've enjoyed the show and you want to communicate with us, there's a little button right there in the podcast app that says send us a text message. I assure you, everything you sent, it goes to Angelo and Rhea. And speaking
Hold
of
on.
Rhea,
And give us feedback on the beer, because
please, yes.
we've never been further apart, Jay and I, than we are on this show. Jay loves it, even though it stinks now, and I hate it because it does stink now. Who's right? You know, I'd love to get some feedback on that, because Rhea will hopefully will be back next week, and she'll tell you it's awful as well. And Rhea, best of luck to you and your family.
Yes, please get back to us soon, Rhea, and take care of everything you need to. Can't wait to have you back. And we'll be back next week with more great TV action. Thanks for joining us, guys.